Many years ago, on a video sharing website known as YouTube, a young man made a decision that would change the internet forever. Or at least a small but dedicated part of it. This man, Austin Hargrave, known as Peanut Butter Gamer, wished to celebrate the latest release of one of his favorite video game franchises, The Legend of Zelda: Skyward Sword. As the game released that November, PBG decided to dedicate an entire month of his videos to the celebration. Thus, November was dubbed Zelda Month, and was celebrated annually by himself and other content creators who were fond of the idea. Until he ran out of ideas and did Mario Month instead. But then he went back to Zelda Month, so it was just Zelda and or Mario Month. I mean, why not just call it Nintendo November at that point? It'd open the possibility of other IPs while still being thematic, and the alliteration is so obvious and— Hello everybody, I am the Black Sigma, or you could just call me Eric. And you may be wondering, Eric, isn't your Skyward Sword series over? And to that I'd say, were you not paying attention to the narration? Clearly, I'm celebrating Zelda Month. Now, I'm not dedicating my entire channel to it, obviously, but every weekend, my regular schedule will be interrupted for 2 Zelda-specific videos. You know, ones that aren't part of my Let's Plays, but are in the spirit of Zelda Month. You got that? Good. Now, for my first Zelda Month video, hey, you guessed it, it's in the title. I'm going to attempt to beat all of Skyward Sword's bosses without taking damage. Except for the Horde, because I don't think that really counts as a boss fight. I mean, it's kinda more just running away and getting blocked occasionally. It's not a boss fight, it's a bunch of regular enemies just thrown at you. It's kinda stupid. So if I take damage in the Horde, I'm not counting it. You understand the rules now? Good. Because I think I am perfectly capable of doing this. I just have to be very, very careful. I was, in fact, not very, very careful. Yeah, this is more of a highlights with scripted narration kind of video. Like the ones you'd see on channels far more successful than mine. Because, let's be honest here, the raw footage isn't gonna cut it when it's 6 hours of me throwing myself at a brick wall. First gear him, easy as pie, probably cut out the entire fight. I mean, I did take 45 seconds rather than, like, 30 seconds. I still don't know how I did that. I don't remember how I did that fight in 26 seconds. Anyway, battle number 2. Damageless run is intact so far. Damageless run may not be intact for very long. Hang on. I'm going to get safely out of the way before I have Groose fire. And I'm gonna attempt to hit some fleshy bits with the bomb as well to deal extra damage. Now, the Imprisoned is a fight I'm not particularly good at doing damageless. Especially considering, yeah, that tail on this particular imprisoned fight makes it hard to stay behind him. And staying behind him is a lot safer than staying in front of him. I don't remember if I'm able to drop on his head without taking damage. I should have expected not! And we reset the run. A lot of my early runs ended to similarly stupid and embarrassing deaths, but that's getting ahead of ourselves. The next run also took us from Girahim 1 to Imprisoned 3, and was a bit more successful due to slow, cautious play. And down he goes. And from here, third phase Imprisoned is as simple as 1, and boom, and 2, and yeet, and 3. Well, a bit of a rough 3 because I couldn't be bothered with the motion controls, but second fight damageless, easy. And I'm sure the rest will be equally easy. And fight number 3, Tentalis. The absolute joke of a boss that I have absolutely been hit by multiple times when I've said I really shouldn't be. Yeah, I think we all remember, or those of us who actually watched remember, exactly how much I bragged about how easy this fight is, and got hit twice every time I tried. Well, my motion controls lost center again, but that's fine, as long as I make my hits. Oh, come on. Why am I so far back? Okay. Tentalis, no damage. Easy. Easy, easy, easy. Number 4? Ah, Scaldera. Oh, why do I always forget that you're invincible while you're glowing? Every time, I swear. Well, doesn't help that my Skyward Strike completely missed. Okay, he doesn't go over yet. The going over is later. I'm just gonna drop that bomb, cause screw it. I had a bad feeling he was gonna catch up to me if I try to throw. Come on with the Skyward Strikes. Oh well. Fully upgraded Master Sword makes Scaldera nothing. Next up? Ah, Moldarok. Lovely. I'm just gonna focus on Skyward Striking from a distance, cause it's safer. Safety strats, do them all the time. Safety strats, keep you from dying. Safety strats, referencing an old Tobuscus video. Yo, is Tobuscus still okay, or has he been cancelled? I honestly can't keep track of YouTubers that old anymore. Wait, isn't Zelda month PBG? Is PBG as old as Tobuscus in terms of content? I don't know. Point is, Tobuscus lost relevancy, either fortunately or unfortunately. I cannot say which, because I don't know. Oh. Oh, good. You just stay back there so I can Skyward... or not. If you want to do it this way, we'll do it this way. And if you want to try your headbutt again, I'll just shield it. Or... wow! a difference of not quite 30 seconds. 25? Is that how math works? Point is, I wasn't very far behind. Wait, no, not seconds, that's milliseconds, because the number at the front is minute. I was only a few milliseconds different from my personal best, huh? Nice. Next up, Girahim V2. Oh, Girahim, old buddy. You never learn, do you? You've got to block where my sword is, not where you think it's gonna be. Although... no you don't. I'm on to you, buddy. We're gonna play this nice and relatively safe. Relatively. Ooh. Okay, I was kinda more trying to cut the knives out of the air than actually hit him that time. Oh. Well, that was a quick on to phase 2. Nice try, buddy. No you don't. Oh, well. I'm surprised I still got that hit in without incurring some wrath, honestly. Ah, come on. I saw that the strike missed, so I went for a shield, but it didn't happen. At this point, I had hope. I had fairly easily gotten through 4 bosses damageless, and the damage I took to Girahim was also something easily avoidable the next time I'd attempt it. But the very next attempt... And that's a bad end to it. Like, Jesus. I hit myself with my own bomb while fighting Skaldera. This is when it really started to sink in for me that I play this game so risky for no apparent reason, and that I really needed to be more careful. But this time, let's not let arrogance be my downfall. What? How did I somehow strike at you vertically instead of horizontally? What happened there? In the replay, I figured out what happened was that my Skyward strike connected with Girahim's sword, and my sword itself never even touched him, which is why he did his attack. But even so, this challenge was shaping up to be a lot worse than I expected. Even though these bosses are all individually fairly easy to do damageless, I was going to have a hard time doing them consecutively, especially if I kept letting my arrogance get in the way. This is when the game decided to freshen things up a little for me, by giving me a different boss. You see, I always thought that if you chose the same starting boss, the order of all the bosses you would fight would be the same, but it turns out that when you pick the same starting boss, the game chooses from a couple of options of a set list of bosses for you to fight. Oh. Straight from first Girahim to third? Interesting. Oop. Remember to backflip.
Or use my shield, but I don't know, I feel like backflipping's a little more effective. Now, normally, I do kinda just wail on him to push him back, but I need to be a little more careful if I want to guarantee I'm not going to, you know, hit one of his electrical counters. I normally don't anyway, but there's always the possibility. And horizontal, vertical, vertical, down you go. And down we go. Now we hit the sword the same direction, quickly charge and stab him several times. Whoop. Just had to throw that. Oh, no you don't. Now we hit your sword the same direction. One of those strikes went diagonal for some reason. And stab. Cool. You wretched brat. Who, me? A wretched brat? Well, that's kinda rude, don't you think? What the heck? Oh. Well, this is awkward. I don't know how I missed multiple times on that first big sword phase, but I'm fine now. This was it. With the addition of Girahim 3, this was the list of the 7 bosses I would be throwing myself at over and over and over again. Individually, none of them were that hard to do damageless, but consecutively, something would always cause me to trip up. Whether it be my own arrogance, or the boss doing something I wouldn't expect due to it being rare in the RNG, I would always fail by some stupid means again and again and again. I learnt a lot doing this. I learnt spin attacks dealt a lot more damage than I realized, cutting down my Girahim 1 time by using them instead of Skyward strikes. You can also interrupt his charge if you attack him with the right timing. But if you do so with a spin attack, you also have to spin from the corresponding side, because the hitbox isn't actually a complete circle, more of a Pac-Man shape. But still nothing was helping me avoid stupid failures. On the bright side, with this new Girahim 1 knowledge, and perfect RNG of his attacks, I got this fight. What the hell? I mean, I knew with good RNG, those spin attacks would do enough damage to take Girahim out in, well, 2 hits per phase. But with that RNG of him just cleanly coming at me both times instead of taking time to throw his dagger, I was going to be surprised if I got a sub 20. 12:58. Under 13 seconds. I have to keep this in. I just Congratulations, you perfected the easiest boss in the game, Eric. Now you actually have to get good at the rest of them. As previously stated, I threw myself at this brick wall for a solid 6 hours. 5 of those were spent fighting these same 7 bosses over and over again, to no avail. So, I decided I needed a change of pace. Not only were those 5 hours spread across 2 days, but after 3 hours of doing it on the second day, I decided on this change of pace. You know what? Maybe all I need is a change of pace. We're gonna start from the ending instead. All I gotta do is prove that I can beat Demise damageless. If I can do that much... And my shield did not happen in time. Okay. Wow. I did so much better when I recorded this in series. Why did I spin attack? I didn't move my... I'm not moving my right Joy-Con. Stop Link! For God's sakes, man. Shield. Please work better. Oh, thank you, Fi. I definitely intended to hit my D-pad there. Shield? Wow. It's really not working as intended. My shield is just slightly delayed. Maybe it's where my switch is sitting. Regardless of my switch's position, I had to fight Demise and do it damageless. So I threw myself at him over and over and over again. Plenty of times successful at killing him, but not doing it damageless, and plenty of times actually just outright dying. I learned a lot about the timing of fighting Demise, how you have to delay your first shield ever so slightly, because when he strikes from above, his attack animation is just a teeny bit longer. Also, it is very easy to accidentally spin attack. If you shake your right Joy-Con just a tiny bit while you're shaking your left, you accidentally spin. And while spin attacks can be useful when you get Demise to kneel before you, they are not useful when he is about to attack you. However, moving past that, I also learned you cannot block his lightning Skyward strikes from a distance, but if you're within melee range when he does them, you technically count as blocking the melee hit and his strike is wasted. With these techniques in mind, I was eventually able to get a damageless Demise run, but once again, that took a huge amount of time. First phase, again. Come on. I can nail second phase. Attempt to get Skyward Strike, he'll come at me. Put shield back up so he wastes it. Get strike, and then go in. Get a few hits. Be careful. And go in, get a few hits. Be careful just so he doesn't counter-strike me at any point. One. Step back. Go in, spin. And 2-cycle, damageless, under a minute. I've finally perfected the demise fight. And now I'm going to lose the whole damageless run idea. Like, there's no shot I keep up after that. I thought Demise was going to be a super easy boss fight to damageless. And then I proved myself wrong. Very quickly. So you know what? This is the last run. Win or lose, it's the last run. Okay, thanks Girahim 1. It took me over an hour to get Demise damageless. So this run, I'm honestly not expecting to beat it at all. But this is going to be like the only attempt I'm actually proud of in the end. Because, really, this just didn't turn out to be quite as easy as I expected. Ah, sniped in the air by the electricity. Of course. And just like that, beating every Skyward Sword HD boss was over. Except, was it really? The consecutive runs were over, but... hang on. Imprisoned in Girahim, imprisoned in Girahim, imprisoned in Girahim. Scaldera, Moldarak, Tentalis, Koloktos, Horde Demise. The only bosses I haven't shown to be able to do damageless is Imprisoned 2, Imprisoned 1, and Koloktos. Maybe I can't do them consecutively, but I am going to do them all. I've also just realised in editing that I cut out my victory against Girahim 2 as well, so here's that little clip. And the imprisons go as easily as you'd expect. What? I've never seen that happen before. Link walked through the imprison's arm. Oh well. Come on, Koloktos. Time to show the audience why you're my favourite boss in this game. Not sure about my favourite Zelda boss of all time, but definitely my favourite in this game. Actually, I haven't really considered my favourite of all time. Ah well, that's a video for another day. For now, come at me, bro. There we go. You know, the thing is, I just really love this design. Something about the divinity of the golden statue paired with the dark, evil curse inside it. You know, the fact it's a giant six-armed automaton that you get to tear limb from limb with its own weapon. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself on that part, but you know, this is just a great boss design, in my opinion. Like, easily the most creative, or not even the most creative necessarily, but absolutely the best one in this game. And now you rise. Also, I know you're capable of one-cycling that first phase, because I've done it before, but I don't remember the exact combination of hits to do, you know, the exact right amount of damage output. Because you need to hit an exact threshold to, you know, trigger the second phase instead of just triggering him getting up. There's a specific threshold between, like, a super high amount of damage and not as high. I don't know how to explain it. Also, if you purposely get hit when he's doing that big slash, it cancels that whole attack for him, so it actually ends up being quicker to tank that hit. In a damageless run, however, tanking that hit is out of the question. So we're just gonna slice him up. Oh, and in case you're wondering, I have tested it, and the giant swords do actually have a higher damage output. I know that may sound obvious to some people, but, you know, with the way video games work, that might not necessarily be the case. Like, it might be a key item to tear his chest open, but it might not have done as much damage as the Master Sword, because it didn't need to set that high of a damage value. However, you know, in testing it, the sword actually does have a higher damage output, because you can 2 or 3 cycle this using his swords, but if you use the Master Sword after you've cut his chest open, it ends up being 4 or 5 cycles. Regardless, with Koloktos done, I've finally proven that I can beat every boss in Skyward Sword damageless. I don't care what the game says, the Horde does not count as a boss fight. It's more of a mini game. You just run around a pit for like 3 minutes. You run around a pit, getting blocked occasionally, and it's all normal enemies. They don't even, like, stack on top of each other to make one giant enemy. No, it's just normal enemies as you run in a circle around a pit. It's not a boss fight. It doesn't count, and therefore, I've beaten every boss in the game damageless. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.